Now it's recording, of course. Hello. I really hope this works because I'm used to using my webcam, but if you follow me on Twitter, you know that I have been having some computer difficulties due to the fact that my MacBook Pro has a drinking problem and it drank 20 ounces of water. Man, I hope this works. I've got this, you should see this setup here. It's ridiculous. You can see a little bit more of my office. You can see, for instance, more of the mess over there. That is the desk that I set up for my mentee because I mentor a writer. I know it's a terrifying thought. I mentor somebody in how to write. So I set up this other like auxiliary desk in my office, but it's like a shitty little table. And I'm like, there's your desk. You can have a better one when you finish your manuscript. But as you can see, she got ousted from that desk because she didn't do enough work. So I just started piling shit on the desk. That's what that desk is. And then over there in the corner, I can move this a little. I'm using my camcorder. I'm complaining about using my husband's camcorder to do this because it's not the computer. But you know, I miss my MacBook. I miss it. And I hope that the audio isn't all messed up on this. Anyway, if you see that plant right there, that's my Hoya. He came to me in quite a state. His name is Oscar de la Hoya because he's a fighter. Not like the Christina Aguilera song, but like a boxing, like he's tough. He can stay a few rounds. Because he was like almost dead and his leaves were all yellow and like this thick when I got him. But slowly, we're getting him back to health. Anyway, so my computer had a problem and there was like the holidays, and the holidays like universally suck. And I wasn't like... I didn't have time to do videos and stuff, but I felt bad because I was like, you know, people actually do watch these. I'm shocked, but they actually do get some views. Not like a lot of views, not like the beluga whale at that one aquarium that likes mariachi music. I can't compete with that. But I felt bad because I wasn't making the videos. And I felt like, oh man, it's just like your blog, Jen. You're like, yeah, I have a blog, and I update it once every, you know, lunar year. But, so anyway, I wanted to make another thing, but then I couldn't find my copy of Blood Ties. And I know that sounds sad because I'm the author, but I couldn't find it. And now I'm like tearing the house apart looking for a copy of it because this girl wrote to me and she had a fire at her house and she lost all the books. And she's like, I don't know where to find them. I'm like, do your house printout. I'll just send you some. So I'm going to send her some as soon as I find the damn things. But anyway, I couldn't find the copy I was reading from. So I was like, I'll just have to use this, which is the copy of Blood Ties from the UK, in which Carrie is apparently 14 years old and Drew Barrymore. I couldn't find it, and so I went on this total crazy, like, this is absolutely nuts, sort of like, I'm gonna tear this office apart looking for it. Well, it was right in here. It was right here. It was right, that doesn't show you anything. I just reached off camera, but it was literally, like, within arm's reach. And I'm a genius. I know I sound like I'm dying. I think it's just because I'm dying. I have like a bunch of stuff like in this sort of area, and it sounds like a tea kettle. You don't want to hear about my throat stuff. On to the book. Okay, we left off. Carrie had just left Cyrus's house, and we're now on chapter 7, which is cleverly titled June 23rd, 1924. Spoiler alert, that's Nathan's wedding anniversary. So she says that she leaves and nobody tries to stop her from leaving, which is cool. I'm not naked. Can you see that I have a shirt on? I do. It's tie-dye. I just looked up and I was like, oh, I look awfully naked in that little window. Also looks like I have a boy haircut. That might be good. Like, hi, I'm the boy version of Jen Armentrout. If it was a boy version of me, I'd be Jason, because that was the other name my mom had picked out. Because, I don't know why she likes the name Jason. I'm not against the name Jason. But it just doesn't seem like I would make a very good Jason. If I were a dude, I'd pick a cool name. Like Danny Trejo, Chuck Norris, Thundercock Johnson III. That would be my man name. Watch out. Okay. So anyway, she leaves, and he's throwing a tantrum. Cyrus is throwing a tantrum in his house. And she feels sad because she's like, she didn't know what to expect. And she didn't know if she would find a mentor See, it says a mentor, a friend, an ally against the shadowy threat of the movement which demanded I live for them or not live at all. You know what? If Cyrus was your mentor and you didn't finish your book, that is what your desk would look like. You would be punished by having shit piled on your desk. I also once locked her in the basement and wouldn't let her have any food or drink until she finished 700 words. I'm not a very good mentor. I'm more of like a serial killer. I don't know. Anyway, so she didn't know what she was looking for, but she found another dead end. And she knows that Cyrus would like control her no matter what, just like the movement would. And she's like, my whole life I'd been ruled by one thing or another. First my father, who'd been so busy planning my future career, I'd wonder how he'd found time for his own. And then she's like, he'd be disappointed in me. And then I'd let so many trivial things get in the way of my own happiness. Carrie has a lot of father issues, and it's really weird because people are like, oh, you must have written those because of your father issues. No, my father issues were that I didn't really have a dad. Carrie's father issues were she had too much of a dad. Like, her dad was just really like, I'm not your dad, I'm your manager. Think of me as Beyonce's dad, only Beyonce isn't really quite famous yet. She's just kind of the chunky-thighed lead singer of Destiny's Child. Yeah, it would have been Destiny's Child back then. Beyonce wasn't even a thing when this book came out. I mean, like, she was important because she was in Destiny's Child and all, but I think when this book came out, there was like 7 people in Destiny's Child. So, there were like 23 people in Destiny's Child when this book came out. Okay, so, let's see. She's like, you know, I've done all this stuff to get in the way of my own, all these things get in the way of, what's weird is like, she's like, Cyrus would rule me as surely as the movement would, and that wasn't something I could accept. For my whole life, I've been ruled by one thing or another. First, my father. Well, then I don't go on to name any other things. I'm like, just keep in mind that the first person to rule her was her father. And she never talks about her mother. I don't know, maybe it is a daddy issue thing, because I don't really take my fucking rage out on mothers ever in books. I'm always, like, really nice about mothers, I think. Except for I killed Carrie's in a car accident. But, like, I read my Abigail Barnett books, and, like, it's always, like, older man, younger woman. And it's always like, I don't know. It's always like Giles from Buffy. I would gladly work out some daddy issues on that guy. Okay, where was I? Oh, let's see. So she walks back to Nathan's apartment because Carrie, he knows where you were at. She went down to the bookshop, and he's down there, and he's having a bad night, and she's like, needs some help, and he bangs his head, and I thought, I like that. I like the idea of Nathan banging his head. I love to torture Nathan, and I don't know why, but he bangs his head, and I'm like, you hit your head, motherfucker. Okay, so they have a little fight. They have a little, like, fight about the fact that she like ran off to be with some other dude when Nathan's like rummaging through her apartment, which really, Nathan, she didn't send you, okay? You went because you were nice. Sorry that you're stupid and you went to somebody's burning apartment, and she ran off to some other hotter guy with long hair and a mansion, and you live in like a 2-bedroom apartment above a bookstore. That's how it goes. So they get into this fight, and then they're like rolling around on the ground because they decide that they're going to fight each other. Like, they just get mad enough that they want to fight each other, which I think is healthy. I think when you're mad enough at a person, you need to just start throwing punches. Me and my best friend used to do that all the time. We spent so much time together, and we would just get sick of each other. And one day we're like walking down the street, and she was like, I don't know, like, I was smaller back then. I was like little, but she was like way littler. And she kind of looks a lot like Kira Sedgwick, actually. And we're walking up the street, and she was, and when I say street loosely, it was more like a country road, and there was like water on one side and like a hill on this side with a little bank. And she's like, yeah, you want to fight me? You want to fight me? And she kept like pushing me, and I turned around and I just like took one hand and I pushed her into the ditch. It was hilarious. We still, every time we see each other, we talk about that. Anyway, the time that I pushed Holly into a ditch. And now it's on YouTube, Holly. Wah! So they do this kick your ass thing, and then it turns out how it never turned out with me and my best friend, because we both like guys. They end up rolling around on the floor, and it turns into like a sexy time moment. And then this old hippie blunders in and ruins it all. And, let's see. My friend Bronwyn Green was telling me today that she had these dolls she saw them on Cracked, and she sent me a link, and she's like, oh my god, I had this toy, and they were called the Sunshine Family, and they were these hippie dolls, and they had no shit a fucking, like, craft store. Like, Barbie has, like, the dream house with the elevator and shit, and they have, like, a little hippie craft store where they make their clay pots, and they're, like, woven baskets, and, yeah. Anyway, so then she goes upstairs and she decides, like, she's all worked up, so she, like, is like, I'm gonna clean his house because there's nothing else I can do. He did this nice shit for me. And then we got into an argument, and then we got into a fist fight, and then we got into a making out thing, but we didn't quite go there until it was interrupted by the Sunshine Family. And then that's how it went down. Anyway, so she's like, I'm just gonna clean because there's nothing left to be done for it. So he came back up. And, oh, and she talks to the goldfish. I like goldfish. And sometimes when their tank is a little bit less murky because I'm dealing with this whole cold water because it's winter, so the water's colder and it's getting cloudy. Anyway, but when it's all cleared up, I'll show you my fish. I love goldfish. I absolutely love them. And so I use that often repeated myth that goldfish have, like, 3-second memories in here. And so then she starts going through his shit. And she's like, oh, hey, there's a picture, and it looks like a wedding picture, and the dude in it looks a lot like Nathan. Like a younger version of Nathan. And she finds out, basically, from the picture and from the date on the back of the picture, which was the title of the chapter, June 23rd, 1924, that Nathan got married when he was 20 years old. So, then turns out she doesn't mention it to him. And then he's like, oh, hey, and I bought you some clothes because all your clothes were wrecked because I'm really not good at rescuing things from burning buildings, especially when I don't find out that they're on fire till like 15 minutes after they're... I don't know how he thought he was going to get anything out of that apartment if it was on fire. I don't know. I don't understand fire, and I don't understand lists that start with numbers. You have a lot to learn, Jen from 2006. But he bought her some clothes. If you hear that crying noise, that's my dog thoroughly enjoying rubbing his back on the carpet. He makes these orgasmic noises when he does it. Anyway, so then he's like, he gives her the clothes, and he had gotten a picture of her and her parents out of her apartment, and she's like crying, and he's like, hey, you know, you could break ties with your old life right now. Because you could be like, oh, I died in the fire. I mean, like, she couldn't say that, but they could make it look like she died in the fire and let people assume she died in the fire. Let's see. And then they talk about stuff. And he talks about how he took Ziggy to Disney World, which I thought was very sweet. And my dog is drinking. And I wonder if this camera picks it up, because the other camera wouldn't, but this camera might, because it's a little bit more expensive and fancy, because it's my husband's, and I'm not supposed to be playing with it. Let's see. So, then she's like, I hope you don't think I'm gonna sleep with you just because you're nice, because Carrie's suspicious like that, and then he's all like, whoa, where did that come from? That wasn't even an option. I mean, it was an option, but it wasn't. And they sit down and they talk about stuff. Man, I really make this book sound intriguing. I promise it's better than I'm making it sound right now. I'm just trying to give a brief overview while peppering it with, you know, anecdotes about how I'm a terrible mentor and I torture my mentee and how I push my best friend into a ditch. So basically, it's this book summed up quickly, interspersed with brief periods of recounting my dickery. He's like, he moved to London, and then he moved to Canada during World War II, and then he ended up moving there, and all that stuff. And then he's like, then she's like, I like your accent, because he has a Scottish accent, because he's Gerard Butler, but cute Gerard Butler from like 10 years ago. Like from Dracula 2000 Gerard Butler. Not like from right now Gerard Butler, which the puffy face and the tired eyes. The one that looks a little bit more like me right now. Like, oh man. Hi. I'm not an abused woman. I'm just a mother. I never get any sleep. Anyway, like right now I'm waiting for my kids to come home from partying. I'm not kidding. They're at like this family party thing. So, he's all like, hey, you know, if I had kissed you down there in the bookstore, then, you know, would you have let me? And she's all like, yeah, sure. So he kisses her, and it's awesome. And then he falls on the floor, motionless, and Dahlia's there. And she's all like, just as good, I guess. And then leaves, you know. So, and then that will take us on to chapter 8, where other stuff will happen in general. And hopefully this video is not too long for the confines of YouTube. Alright, I'm going to figure out a better camera situation with this whole... I could take you on a tour of my house. Would you like that? I might do that someday. Anyway, you know, when it's like a little cleaner and there are no children, and I think part of it's actually on fire. Anyway, I will see you on the flip side. Now I gotta turn the thing off, which means I have to lean forward like this. Bye-bye. Maybe.